everybody, to another Haunted Vermont episode. My name is Paul Doski, and now for World UFO Day. So sit back, relax, and enjoy, because I don't know per se how much of a UFO this was, if it was a drone. I do not really go on record saying that this was in fact a UFO. I'm just saying my story because it was interesting nonetheless. I do want to put a disclaimer, though, that the person that at the time was my partner is no longer alive. So, unfortunately, I cannot have him be part of this to back up my story, which, in fact, he saw as well. So, unfortunately, it's just my word. This was back on a summer day where it wasn't too hot, it wasn't too chilly either. It was like just right. You weren't really sweating as much, but it was clear blue sky, not a cloud to be seen, and it was just a beautiful, gorgeous Vermont day. We were actually on Vermont 22A, and we were getting ready to be doing a specific part, so we got done at around the afternoon, pretty early-ish, so we picked up quite early. But to begin with this, we got there, set up, got stationed to where we were going to be doing the traffic control and everything else. So we did have radio, so we could communicate back and forth with each other, obviously, for traffic control. So to get to the point, really, is that at the time, Haunted Vermont wasn't really a thing. I wasn't really, like, doing anything paranormal, really. I mean, I had my own stuff going on in middle school, but that was really about it. I didn't really fully dive into, like, making Haunted Vermont a thing until, like, 2012 of August, just so everybody knows. So this is, like, 2008, 2009 era. Anyway, so I happened to glance up at the sky around the time before lunch and noticed, like, there was a black dot, almost like you could say, like, where the way that the blue sky was, it was almost like somebody forgot to fill that little speck of blue, because that's pretty much what it looked like. It was like just like this weird pinhole, if you will, almost like it was like a black dot from the Matrix that forgot to fill in that little part of the blue sky. Anyway, I didn't think anything of this black dot at the time. I literally just thought it was probably a drone, because this was like around Hurricane Irene, I want to say, and we were basically doing like the cleanup mess kind of repairs. And so as we were going about with the day, we did break for lunch, which was 30 minutes. Now, mind you, at the time, I did take note of this, that it was still there by the time we went to lunch. So I want to say real quick that if, in fact, this thing was a drone, I never saw it leave during lunch to, quote, change batteries if it had batteries and everything else. But I just know by the time we got back, we reset up after lunch, 30 minutes later, this black dot was still stationary in the same spot where I had originally have seen it. And I'm saying originally because, I mean, I don't know if it ever moved from its post, I'm going to say, to begin with. I just know there it was 30 minutes later after coming back from lunch. So anyway, I radioed my partner at this time, and I noticed that he couldn't really quite see this black dot in the sky that I was seeing, which was oddly enough, because he was kind of more towards it than I was, obviously. So that's where we were, you know, the break-off point for traffic, just so everybody knows where I am. So I'm basically more of like, let's just say the south end of the road, and he's more north of it, just to kind of clarify. And so I basically said, well, if we get a point, I will point it to you of it, but I figured it's going to move beforehand. So, I mean, I just wanted him to clarify, though, if it was in fact a drone, because he could possibly see it more than I could. Because, as with everybody, if you really concentrate on a drone in the air, you can actually witness the propellers. You can really see the propellers moving to keep the drone in the air. And sometimes you can even see the drone depending on, even like when an airless day, or windless day really, is that you can kind of see it swaying a little bit. This never felt like it was swaying back and forth. We eventually were able to meet up again. And it was at this point when I started to lift my arm and hand to form a pointer finger so I could point at it. So I'm lifting my arm, making my hand turn into like that pointer motion finger thing. So I could just point at it basically. I'm just trying to give you all the details here. And as soon as I did that, that's when this black dot takes off. It wasn't like fast, but it was just oddly enough is that as soon as I started to point at it, that's when it moved. And it was stationed the whole time in the air at this one specific location. Now, mind you, this thing has been there for quite a few hours prior. And that's why I'm wondering, because when I did research about drones back in the day, it was more like drones had anywhere between 10 minutes to like an hour, unless it was military. But why a military drone would be in this particular area, I mean, I guess it could have been, but you would feel like you would have seen Army trucks if they were doing like a training for drones or something. But anyway, the point of the story is that this thing was stationary for so long and it didn't move. But as soon as I lifted my arm to form the pointer finger to point at it, that's when it moved. So I just wanted to clarify. Anyway, that's my story. I have no idea if it was a drone, UFO. It's still interesting because, like I said, as soon as I pointed at it, it takes off. So, do you guys have a story of your own? Whether it be UFO, UAP, USOs even, unidentified submersive object? The one that can be seen in water even? I'd like to hear it. Even if you don't have any of those type of stories, if you have a ghost story, paranormal one, whether it be ghost, cryptid, something eerie, we would like to hear this story, whether it be off the air or on the air. Please contact us today by visiting hauntedvermont.org. Enjoy this World UFO Day by keeping your eye to the sky because you might see an unidentified